Hey guys, it's me, Poppy Rain here. I know we have like a million book series started. We have the pirate one started. We have the children's classic books that we need to finish. I'm trying to think. We have the Tigger book that's almost done. We have one more story left in there. But we're gonna start another one today. When I needed something to do, when Daddy was at work. Sorry about this one. This one I thought was Grimm's Fairy Tale, but it's not. It's the World's Best Fairy Tales. I thrifted this. This is Reader's Digest anthology. I do have a ton of Grimm's Fairy Tales that I'll be reading for you guys. I'm not going to read the introduction because that's not important. But in this book, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 34. There's over 32 stories to read in here. So this should take us a little bit to read. The first story we're going to read is The Piper of Hamelin. A very long time ago, in the town of Hamelin, in Germany, was invaded by a band of rats, the likes of which had never been seen before, nor ever will be again. They were great black creatures which ran boldly in broad daylight through the streets and swarmed all over the houses, so that people at last could not put hand or foot down anywhere without touching one. When dressing in the morning, they found rats in their breeches and petticoats, in their pockets and in their boots. And when they wanted a morsel to eat, the voracious horde had swept away everything from cellar to garret. The night time was even worse. As soon as the lights were out, these unturing nibblers set to work, and everywhere, in the ceilings, in the floor, in the cupboards, at the doors, there was a chase and a rummage, and so furious a noise of gimlets, pincers, and saws, that a deaf man could not rest even for an hour. Neither cat nor dogs, nor poison nor traps, nor prayers nor candles burned, all to the saints. Nothing did any good. The more rats they killed, the more came. But one Friday there arrived in the town a man with a queer face, who played the bagpipes and sang this refrain: "Who lives shall see, this is he, the rat catcher." He was tall and gawky fellow, dry and bronzed, with a crooked nose, a long rat-tail mustache, 2 great yellow piercing and mocking eyes under a large felt hat set off by a scarlet cock's feather. He was dressed in a green jacket with a leather belt and orange breeches, and on his feet were sandals fastened by thongs passed around his legs in the gypsy fashion. That is how he may be seen to this day, painted on a window in the cathedrals of Hamelin. He stood in the great marketplace before the town hall, turned his back to the church, and went on with his music, singing, "Who lives shall see, that is he, the rat catcher." The town council had assembled to consider once more this plague of Egypt, from which no one could save the town. The stranger sent word to the counselors that if they would make it worth his while, he could rid them of the rats before nightfall. "Then he is a sorcerer," cried the citizens with one voice. "We must beware of him." The chief town councilor, who was considered clever, reassured them. He said, "Sorcerer or no, if the bagpiper speaks the truth, it was he who was sent us. This horrible vermin. He wants to rid us of today for money. Well, we must learn to catch the devil in his own snares. You leave it to me." "Leave it to the town councilor," said the citizens one to another. And the stranger was brought before them. "Before night," said he, "I shall have dispatched all the rats in Hamelin. If you will pay me a shilling a head." "A shilling a head?" cried the citizens. "But that will come to millions of taler." The town councilor simply shrugged his shoulders and said to the stranger, "A bargain. The rats will be paid for 1 shilling a head as you ask." The bagpiper announced that he would begin that very evening. When the moon rose, he added that the inhabitants should at least that hour leave the streets free and content themselves with looking out of their windows at the pleasant spectacle that was passing. When the people of Hamelin heard of the bargain, they too claimed 1 shilling a head, but this will cost us dead of money. "Leave it to the town councilor," said the town council with a malicious air. And the good people of Hamelin repeated, "Leave it to the town councilor." Toward evening, the bagpiper reappeared in the marketplace. At first, he turned his back to the church, and the moment the moon rose on the horizon, the bagpiper resounded, "Turra, turray." It was first a slow, caressing sound, then more and more lively and urgent, and so sonorous the piercing that it penetrated the furthest alley and retreats of the town. Soon from the bottom of the cellar, the top of the garrets, from under all the furniture, from all the nooks and corners of the house, out came the rats, searching for the door, flinging themselves into the street, and trip, 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 they began to run in file toward the front of the town hall, so squeezed together that they covered the pavement like the waves of flooded torrents. When the square was quite full, the bagpiper faced about, and, still playing briskly, turned toward the river that runs at the foot of the wall of Hamelin. Arriving there, he turned around. The rats were following. "Hop, hop," he cried, pointing his finger to the middle of the stream, where the water whirled and was drawn down as if through a funnel, and hop, hop, without hesitating. The rats took the leap, swam straight to the funnel, plunged in the head foremost, and disappeared. The plunging continued without ceasing till midnight. At last, dragging himself with difficulty, came a big rat, white with age, who stopped on the bank. It was the king of the band. "Are they all there, friend Blancher?" asked Bagpiper. "They're all there," replied the white rat. "And how many were they? 999,999. Well reckoned. Well reckoned. Then go and join them, old sir. And au revoir. And the old white rat sprang in his turn into the river, swam the whirlpool, and disappeared. When the bagpiper had concluded his business, he went to bed at his inn. And for the first time in 3 months, the people of Hamelin slept quietly through the night. The next morning, at 9 o'clock, the bagpiper appeared at the town hall, where the town council awaited him. All your rats took a jump into the river yesterday, he said to the councilors, and I guarantee that not one of them comes back. They were 999,999. A shilling a head, reckon. Let us reckon the heads first. 1 shilling a head. 1 head the shilling. Where are the heads? Piper did not expect this treacherous stroke. He paled with anger, and his eyes flashed fire. The heads, he cried. If you are about them, go and find them in the river. So, replied the chief counselor, you refuse to honor the terms of your agreement. We ourselves could refuse you all payment, but you have been of use to us, and we will not let you go without a recompense. With this, they offered him 50 taler. Keep your recompense for yourself, replied the piper proudly. If you do not pay me, I will be paid by your hairs. Thereupon, he pulled his hat down over his eyes, went hastily out of the hall, and left the town without speaking to a soul. When the people of Hamelin heard how the affair had ended, they rubbed their hands, and with no more scruple than their town councilors, laughed about the bagpiper, who they said had been caught in his own trap. But what made them laugh above all was the threat of getting himself paid by their heirs. Ha! They wished they could only have such creditors for the rest of their lives. Next day was Sunday. They went gaily to church, thinking that afterwards they would at last be able to eat some good things that the rats had not tasted before them. They never suspected the terrible surprise that awaited them on their return home. No children anywhere. They'd all disappeared. Our children! Where are our poor children? Was the cry that was soon heard in the streets. Through the east gate of the town came 3 little boys who cried and wept, and this is the story they told. While the parents were at church, a wonderful music had sounded in the streets. Soon all of the little boys and all the little girls who had been left at home, attracted by the magic sound, had gone out to the great marketplace. There they found the piper playing the bagpipes. When the strangers started to walk quickly, and they had followed, running, singing, and dancing to the sound of the music, as far as the foot of the mountain, which one sees on entering Hamelin. At their approach, the mountain had opened a little, and the bagpiper had gone with them, after which it had closed again. Only the 3 little ones who told of the adventures had remained outside, as if by a miracle. One was lame and could not run fast enough. The second, who had left the house in haste, 1 foot shod, the other bare, had hurt himself against a big stone, could scarcely walk. The third had arrived on time, but while hurrying to go in had struck so violently against the wall of the mountain that he fell backwards at the moment it closed up upon his comrades. Hearing this story, the parents redoubled their lamentations. They ran with pikes and mattocks to the mountain and searched till evening to find the opening through which the children disappeared. Without success, at last, the night fallen, they returned desolate to Hamelin. But the most unhappy was the town councillor who had bargained with the piper, for he had lost 3 boys and 2 girls. And to crown all, the people of Hamelin overwhelmed him with reproaches, forgetting that the day before they had agreed with him. What had become of these unfortunate children? The parents always hoped they were not dead, and that the piper, who certainly must have come out of the mountain, would have taken them with him to his own country. That is why, for several years, they set in search of them in different countries. No one ever found a trace of the poor little ones. It was not till much later that anything was heard. About 150 years after the event, when there was no longer any of the fathers, mothers, brothers, or sisters of that day left, there arrived one evening in Hamelin some merchants of Bremen, returning from the east, who had asked to speak with the citizens. They told how in crossing Hungary they had sojourned in the mountainous country called Transylvania, where the inhabitants spoke only German, while all around them nothing was spoken but Hungarian. These people also declared that they came from Germany. They did not know how they danced to be in this strange country. Now, said the merchant of Bremen, these Germans cannot be other than the descendants of the lost children of Hamelin. The people of Hamelin did not doubt it, and since that day they have regarded it as certain that the Transylvanians of Hungary are their countryfolk, whose ancestors as children were taken from Hamelin by the bagpiper. There are more difficult things to believe than that. Charles Marble's Andrew Lang Collection. The end.